Well, hello, this is Joey Donnelly contributing for COVID-19 Culture for Saskatchewan Heritage. It is Thursday, June the 25th, just around
3:15.
3:15. Thanks, Dina. Yeah, and with me today is Deanna Baje. So, welcome, Dina.
Thanks, Joey, and thank you for pronouncing my last name correctly. Yeah, no one else there probably are just a couple of people who are non-immigrants who can pronounce my name correctly because of the H sound. But yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's only four letters. You think folks would get it?
They get, I think, thrown off with J because my last name is spelled as B as in boy, A as in apple, J as in Juliet, and E as in echo. So, because of the short A sound and then the J sound, and it's Hispanic sounding, Baje, right? So sometimes it will be pronounced as commonly it would be beige. It will be pronounced as beige. So
Okay, so
yeah,
you're like part of the color palette.
I know, right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks again for coming here. So for starters, Dina, I guess we're talking about COVID-19 culture or stories that came out of the pandemic. When did you first start hearing about COVID-19 and start to realize that this is something serious?
Um, Probably around January, when stories from China came on the news and how it started, like it started from the bats or and we were still uh, gathering, like maybe three families, friends. We were in a friend's house and um, we looked up YouTube videos about how this coronavirus started in China, and there were stories about how the people in the Wuhan province were selling and eating bats, right? So they were like saying like this came from that. And there was also one incident that we were in another friend's place when we watched a movie on Netflix, and the movie is entitled Contagion, and how the similarity of the plot of the movie with what's going on back then, with the crazy how the virus could be contacted, and yeah. So that was really like, yeah, that's so scary, but we're in Saskatchewan. We're not going to be affected by it, still we're kind of feeling like safe. But come March, right, when we already learned that Canada has been experiencing a lot of cases, COVID-19 cases, and confirmed cases, that is. And then the federal government has started to close its borders. They have been doing a lot of precautionary measures to ensure that the citizens are safe and healthy, and that our office, we started working from home in March. And so I thought that, oh, okay, we didn't think that we would get affected by this because we're Canada, we're in Saskatchewan, we're in Swift Current, but I still feel, and I still felt, and I still feel that we are still safer than most of the other cities because of how we have more land here, we have more spaces here, we're not as populated as other cities. So I'm that's why I feel like, yes, I know the protocols, I need to follow the guidelines, I should be doing that. But um, I also am the first one to admit that sometimes I forget about the protocols. I'm so bad at social distancing. But yeah, so with the lifting up of the guidelines and the reopening of the economy, it's also like kind of daunting to me that, how can we reopen when it's still not safe out there? So it's kind of like I feel safe, but I don't feel safe. I don't know if, you um, get my feelings across. It's like I don't know if it's also because I live here in Swift Current that I have the bubble, around me, like saying like, oh, I won't be affected by that, right? But since we have recently, we have learned that there is there are confirmed cases nearby, and it's, you know, crazy to think that it might be us who are carrying it already. But I remember, Joey, when we first started working from home, one of the things that we uh, were taught, to think about was like we have the virus already, and we are we are staying at home, working from home. We're trying to work from home because if we're carriers of the virus, we don't want it to spread. So, my mentality was like, yeah, so I'm a carrier of the virus. I'm not saying that I am a carrier of the virus because, yeah, I'm not. I think I'm not.
We go with
But,
that
yeah,
assumption or idea.
exactly. And then, yeah, just, for safer reasons, because when I go grocery shopping, is still, you can still see a lot of people just probably doing like, their routine, like normal routine. It's hard because there's a lot of changes that happened, right? Yeah.
So like you raised two nephews with your sister, and I'm sure family's always been number one for you as for the 4 years I've known you at the Welcome Center. How have they been coping, or how have you made sure that they're going through this? Okay.
So, in our family, it's good that we still share a meal or two, because of the work situation too. Sometimes we're not able to share meals, but when we do, and we're grateful that we have that time, we always like have some sort of discussion. Maybe not as formal as one would think, but it's just kind of like, okay, did you know about this and this, so uh, when my sister said that she cannot work from home because she finds it more distracting for her to work from home instead of going to her office, I would just always remind her, well, just be careful, because you're going out more, you're exposing yourself more. So, and the same, with my nephews, whenever they want to go out, like, buy something, I would just be like, be careful, right? So, for the past few months, I think I'm the I'm among the four of us. I think I'm the person who least you know went out of the house, just because I'm thinking like I'm also working at the Newcomer Welcome Center, and if people see me about, and then they'll be like, "What is she doing?" And so we have to also be good examples to our clients, right? So just we have been uh, open about discussing these things, but also like we're just making sure that uh, you know we feel safe at home. We like we also don't want to make them feel like they cannot go out. We like their stuff already inside the house. So sometimes they feel like, they might be like limited. So I don't want that. So whenever they say like, oh, I want to go out, and say, just be careful, right? So,
That's wise. In terms of your friends and family at in the Philippines,
mm-hmm.
how are they coping? It's a very different government
It
under
is,
Duterte, and
yes.
a very different reaction than
Mm-hmm.
our government here in Canada. So tell me what you can about what's happening in the Philippines, and with just
Yeah.
your relations there.
Well, my so when it started, like the Philippines had more case. Oh, the Philippines have more cases than Canada, and they also were among the last ones to close their borders to Chinese people who would travel from China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan to the Philippines, and so they like people in the Philippines would feel like or felt that that's one of the contributors to why the cases there are higher. And my family, we because we keep in touch through social media, we always ask them, oh, how are you, and how's it going there. At one point they were put in like the island of Luzon, where most of my family members are. They were put in a general community quarantine where they were not allowed to essentially leave their homes except if they need to buy groceries, right? And then they had to there was a phase that they needed to get passes, to go to be able to go out of the towns, to go somewhere else. So right now I think they have lifted the community quarantine, but I recently learned that one of my best friends, because she's living in a condo with her son, and one of her neighbors in the condo is positive for COVID-19. So she decided for herself that she would do the 14 days self isolation, just so that her office mates would be safe too. So she made that decision, which is good, right? Because then she's keeping herself safe because she's not, as far as we know, she's not positive for COVID-19. So she's lessening the risk of getting the virus, and also like spreading the virus, right? So that's kind of scary, like to think that a neighbor is close. But yeah, yeah.
And for your faith community at the Roman Catholic Church here in town, how has that affected your ability to worship?
Honestly, Joey, I used to, or we used to, my family and I used to go to church every Sunday. So it is a big impact on us. So we have TV masses, so that we can watch it on YouTube or TV's channels. But it's different, when you go to mass and you know that you're going there because it's a communal setting, right? So you're not just praying for yourself, but you're praying for everyone in the church, and you feel that they are also doing that the same to you. So it's different in terms of we don't have that social aspect to the mass, but spiritually speaking, we feel like it's the same, because we believe that. However, there are times when I feel like, oh, it's just going to be another TV mass. So sometimes I would even forget that it's Sunday. We need to go to mass, which is like That has not happened to me in a long time, ever since I came to Canada. But yeah, so it's kind of like negative in a way, right? Positive in a way because we're like keeping ourselves safe, and making sure that other members of the community are safe too, because we have a lot of elderly in our church. So uh, we just want everyone to be safe. Right now, they're reopening the church, accepting families. I think up to 30, but you have to call the church if you want to attend the weekend masses. So
Oh, I see.
just for yourself to be counted.
Mm. So like there's up to 30 folks that go to or
30,
Oh,
yeah, I think so. Yeah, because they have like three schedules for mass.
Mm.
Saturday 5 p.m., Sunday 9 and 11. So we have three masses to choose from, but yeah, you have to call the church and inform them that you want to, and then see if you can still be counted.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this pandemic has also brought out a lot of social unrest, and in response to the death of George Floyd, and we've seen the Black Lives Matter movement really grow, and we participated in a recent rally organized by the LGBTQ community in Swift Current in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. What has been your response to that aspect during the pandemic?
It's really unfortunate, right? Because I think my first reaction was like, we already have the pandemic. Now we have the Black Lives Matter. It's kind of like overwhelming to think about. Like, I know that issues do not stop when one is like starting, right? So it doesn't happen that way. It's just like continuous. So we have one and after another, and they might not be done. So yeah, but they're both serious matters. They are both matters that we highly regard here at the Newcomer Welcome Center, especially because of our clients too, right? We would like to think that we are a welcoming community. The Swift Current is a welcoming community. We would like to believe that folks here believe that too. And we, as staff members at the Newcomer Welcome Center, advocate for that we are equal, that we have integrity, we have diversity, we respect everyone, right? So that's our values, those are our values, and we'd like to, make sure that people also hear the other side, right? So it's also good to know that we have gotten communications from the federal government saying that we are not violating anything, like if we advocate for the Black Lives Matter, because it's not really like against the government. It's an advocacy that we respect diversity, we value welcoming the community. So it's good. It's good, that we know that we are supported with that.
Different messaging than what we're hearing in the States, for sure. Right?
Yes, definitely, because it's. I think it's scarier to think if we're living in the South. So.
Well, and President Trump has used the pandemic to spread misinformation about folks in China, and that also has a direct impact on
Yes.
that discrimination.
The discrimination in the States is like, right, when this first started, or the early months, I should say, of 2020, when we heard the President of the United States say that the people who were positive with this virus are of this descent. So why do we need to treat them, Do you remember that they categorize like most of the people who got the COVID-19 virus was like of the um, Mexican, the blacks, Latinos, so they're like, those were also like they're
singled out.
mm-hmm,
And a lot of it
right?
has to do with economics very
Mm-hmm.
often. Or
Yes.
do you think we've seen that in Saskatchewan with Hutterites and people in what's called the far north? Like, do you think with sometimes communities like Laloche are singled out, but then we don't hear the same for other cases in Saskatchewan?
Mm-hmm. And then we had that news about the confirmed cases in the Hutterite colonies near Maple Creek. And so we're like, oh, they're not, all affected or infected, right?
Mm.
So I know one of our client, I saw her at Walmart. She said like whenever because she works there. She said that whenever she sees someone that looks like a Hutterite, because they dress similarly, you know, they would already keep their distance. So even though they're not from the same colony, they're also profiled that way, which is really sad, right?
Yeah.
Because it's similar to what they have been doing to to um, other races, like Chinese Canadian. If you look like a Chinese person, you probably would have the virus, and so people stay away from you, which is really sad because it's not case.
Yeah, well, the virus knows no bounds when it comes to
The virus knows
their
no
cultural
color,
background.
right?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, it's really sad to see that, but as you said, it is part of our job to promote that inclusive and pluralistic society
Yes.
that we are lucky to live
Inclusive,
in.
yeah.
Yeah. Dina, do you have any like final thoughts about like your experiences with COVID-19 or?
I'm just hoping that uh, things will get better soon. It's not just because of uh, you know our work has stopped. The whole world stopped. You know, my thoughts on the COVID-19 pandemic was like this virus was the only one that you know literally stopped the whole world from its normal functions. Like when everyone was quarantined, they were seeing like the Mother Nature is getting better, right? Bluer skies and less pollution because no one is using their cars and less cars on the highways. So if COVID-19, if we find a solution for the COVID-19 virus, I hope it will be soon. And I hope too that the people will learn that racism is still out there. It's not just because of the pandemic, and we need to solve it too. Uh, we it's not just the pandemic, it's not just the virus that we need to find a solution for, right? Uh, we also need to not go back to the way things were, like when we affected the earth negatively, right? So if we can limit, like we already learned that we can limit our use of things, and made the earth better. So why go back there? Yeah. So that's my. Those are just my fan.
That's a hopeful note to end on.
I would like to think that we will still have hope.
Thank you so much, Dina. It's always
Thanks,
a pleasure
Joey.
to talk to you.
Thanks, Joey.
Yeah.